Picture this. It's 2 a.m. and you're lying in bed, heart racing, mind spinning with endless thoughts about tomorrow's presentation, that text you haven't answered, the bills piling up. Your chest feels tight. Breathing becomes shallow, and that familiar knot in your stomach grows stronger. You've tried meditation apps, breathing exercises, even cut back on coffee, but nothing seems to work. What if I told you there's one invisible habit you do every single day that's secretly feeding your anxiety, making it grow stronger without you even realizing it? Today, I'm going to reveal this hidden anxiety trigger that affects millions of people worldwide, and more importantly, show you exactly how to break free from it starting today. If you're tired of feeling trapped by anxiety and ready to discover natural, science-backed solutions that actually work, you're in the right place. This channel is dedicated to helping people like you find real relief from anxiety through practical, accessible strategies that don't require expensive therapy or medication. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because I share new anxiety-busting techniques every week that can transform how you feel in your own body. You deserve to wake up feeling calm, confident, and in control of your emotions. Before we dive in, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below, and if this topic resonates with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Your engagement helps me reach more people who need this information. Have you ever noticed how your mind never truly rests? Even when you're watching TV, you're simultaneously thinking about work, planning tomorrow's meals, and worrying about that conversation you had last week. This constant mental juggling act, what I call cognitive multitasking, is the invisible habit that's secretly amplifying your anxiety levels every single day. Unlike physical multitasking, which we can easily recognize and control, mental multitasking happens so automatically that most people don't even realize they're doing it. Your brain wasn't designed to handle multiple streams of conscious thought simultaneously. When you force it to do so, you create a state of chronic mental tension that directly feeds anxiety. Think of your mind like a computer processor. When you have too many programs running at once, the system slows down, gets hot, and eventually crashes. Your brain experiences something similar when you're constantly switching between different thoughts, worries, and mental tasks throughout the day. The scientific explanation behind this is fascinating yet simple. When your brain attempts to process multiple thoughts simultaneously, it activates your sympathetic nervous system, the same system responsible for your fight or flight response. This means that every time you mentally multitask, you're essentially telling your body that you're in danger, even when you're sitting safely on your couch. Your heart rate increases slightly, stress hormones like cortisol get released in small amounts, and your muscles tense up just a bit. These micro-activations of your stress response might seem insignificant, but they accumulate throughout the day, creating a baseline level of anxiety that follows you everywhere. Research has shown that people who engage in frequent mental multitasking have higher levels of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, even during relaxing activities. They also show increased activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, the brain region associated with conflict monitoring and emotional distress. What's particularly troubling is that this pattern becomes self-reinforcing. The more you mentally multitask, the more your brain becomes wired to expect constant stimulation and multiple inputs, making it even harder to focus on just one thing at a time. But here's where it gets really interesting. Mental multitasking doesn't just create anxiety in the moment. It actually reshapes your brain's neural pathways to be more prone to anxious thinking. When you regularly split your attention between multiple thoughts, you're essentially training your brain to be hypervigilant and constantly scanning for potential problems or tasks that need attention. This creates what neuroscientists call cognitive hyperarousal, a state where your mind becomes addicted to busyness and stimulation. I'm curious about your experience with this. Have you ever noticed your mind jumping from thought to thought, even during supposedly relaxing moments? Right now, as you're watching this video, is part of your brain thinking about something else entirely? If this resonates with you, comment below, "My mind never stops jumping between thoughts, and I'm ready to learn how to find real mental peace." Your comment not only helps you acknowledge this pattern, but also helps others realize they're not alone in this struggle. Sometimes just knowing that millions of people share this experience can be the first step toward healing. You might be wondering how this habit developed in the first place. Mental multitasking often starts as a survival mechanism in our modern world. We live in an environment that constantly demands our attention. Smartphones buzzing with notifications, emails piling up, social media feeds updating every second, news cycles that never stop, and a culture that glorifies being busy and productive. Your brain, trying to keep up with all these demands, develops the habit of always having multiple thoughts running in the background, just in case something important requires immediate attention. This pattern often begins in childhood or adolescence, especially for people who grew up in high-stress environments or families where they needed to be constantly alert to emotional changes or potential conflicts. Children who had to monitor their parents' moods, worry about family finances, or manage multiple responsibilities often develop this hypervigilant thinking style as a protective mechanism. While this mental multitasking might have served you well in certain situations, it becomes problematic when it continues long after the original stressors are gone. Modern technology has made this habit even more pronounced. Every time you check your phone while doing something else, you're reinforcing the neural pathways associated with mental multitasking. When you scroll through social media while watching TV, listen to podcasts while working, or think about your to-do list while having a conversation, you're training your brain to always divide its attention. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day, which means 96 opportunities to strengthen the mental multitasking habit. But the triggers go deeper than just external technology. Internal triggers include perfectionism, which makes you constantly monitor multiple aspects of your performance simultaneously. People-pleasing tendencies, which keep part of your mind always focused on others' reactions and needs. And anxiety itself, which creates a feedback loop where worried thoughts generate more worried thoughts. When you're anxious about one thing, your brain often starts scanning for other potential problems, creating a cascade of interconnected worries that all compete for your attention simultaneously. The most insidious aspect of mental multitasking is that it feels productive and necessary. Your mind convinces you that if you're not thinking about multiple things at once, you might miss something important or fall behind. This creates a false sense of control and efficiency, when in reality, mental multitasking makes you less effective at everything you're trying to think about. Studies show that people who attempt to mentally juggle multiple concerns simultaneously are worse at problem solving, decision-making, and emotional regulation compared to those who focus on one thing at a time. The impact of constant mental multitasking extends far beyond just feeling scattered or unfocused. This habit creates a cascade of physical and emotional symptoms that many people don't realize are connected to their thinking patterns. When your brain is constantly switching between different thoughts and concerns, it never gets the chance to truly relax and reset, leading to a state of chronic mental fatigue that affects every aspect of your well-being. Physically, mental multitasking keeps your nervous system in a state of low-level activation throughout the day. This means your muscles remain slightly tense, your breathing stays shallow, and your heart rate remains elevated even during rest periods. Over time, this chronic activation leads to headaches, neck and shoulder tension, digestive issues, and sleep problems. Many people who struggle with anxiety-related insomnia are actually dealing with minds that won't stop jumping between different thoughts when they try to sleep. The digestive system is particularly affected by mental multitasking because proper digestion requires your parasympathetic nervous system to be active. When you're eating while thinking about work, watching TV, and planning your evening simultaneously, your body can't properly produce digestive enzymes or absorb nutrients effectively. This can lead to bloating, indigestion, and even nutritional deficiencies that further exacerbate anxiety symptoms. Emotionally, mental multitasking prevents you from fully experiencing and processing your feelings. When part of your mind is always focused elsewhere, you can't give adequate attention to understanding what you're actually feeling in any given moment. This emotional suppression builds up over time, creating sudden outbursts of anxiety, irritability, or sadness that seem to come out of nowhere. You might find yourself feeling overwhelmed by emotions that you can't quite identify or understand, simply because you haven't been present enough to notice them building up gradually. The social consequences are equally significant. When you're mentally multitasking during conversations, you're not fully present with the people you care about. Others can sense when you're not completely engaged, which can damage relationships and create feelings of isolation. This social disconnection then becomes another source of anxiety, creating a vicious cycle where mental multitasking leads to relationship problems, which generate more worries to mentally juggle, which further impairs your ability to be present with others. Perhaps most importantly, mental multitasking robs you of the ability to experience joy, peace, and contentment in simple moments. When part of your mind is always elsewhere, you can't fully appreciate a beautiful sunset, savor a delicious meal, or enjoy a warm hug. This constant partial attention to life's positive experiences contributes to a general sense of dissatisfaction and emptiness that many anxious people describe but can't quite explain. The antidote to mental multitasking isn't just trying to think less or force your mind to be quiet. Instead, it's about learning to direct your attention intentionally to one specific thing at a time. This practice, which I call conscious single focusing, involves training your brain to engage fully with whatever you're doing in the present moment, whether that's having a conversation, eating a meal, or even worrying about something specific. The key is understanding that you can't eliminate thoughts, but you can change how you relate to them. Instead of trying to suppress the urge to mentally multitask, you acknowledge when your mind starts to wander and gently redirect it back to your chosen focus. This isn't about achieving perfect concentration immediately. It's about building the mental muscle of sustained attention gradually over time. Start with small, manageable practices throughout your day. When you're brushing your teeth, focus entirely on the sensations of brushing. The taste of the toothpaste, the feeling of the bristles against your teeth, the sound of the brushing. When your mind inevitably starts thinking about your schedule for the day, gently notice this happening and return your attention to brushing. Don't judge yourself for the wandering mind. Simply redirect it with kindness and patience. During meals, practice eating without distractions. Put away your phone, turn off the TV, and focus solely on the experience of eating. Notice the colors, textures, flavors, and aromas of your food. Chew slowly and pay attention to the physical sensations of hunger and satisfaction. This single-focus eating not only improves digestion and nutrient absorption, but also trains your brain to sustain attention on one activity at a time. In conversations, practice giving your complete attention to the person speaking. Notice when your mind starts planning your response, thinking about related experiences, or wondering about unrelated topics. When this happens, gently return your focus to truly hearing and understanding what the other person is saying. This practice not only improves your relationships, but also provides regular training sessions for sustained attention throughout the day. When worries arise, instead of trying to push them away or letting them multiply into a cascade of related concerns, practice focused worrying. Set aside specific times during the day, perhaps 10 to 15 minutes, to deliberately focus on your concerns one at a time. Give each worry your complete attention. Think it through thoroughly, and then consciously move on to the next one, or end the worry session entirely. This approach honors your mind's tendency to be concerned about important matters, while preventing worries from hijacking your attention throughout the entire day. Once you've established basic single-focus practices, you can implement more advanced techniques to further reduce mental multitasking and its associated anxiety. One powerful method is called attention anchoring, where you choose a physical sensation to return to whenever you notice your mind starting to scatter. This could be the feeling of your feet on the ground, your hands resting in your lap, or your breath moving in and out of your body. The breath is particularly effective as an attention anchor because it's always available and naturally occurs in the present moment. When you notice your mind juggling multiple thoughts, take 3 conscious breaths, focusing entirely on the physical sensations of breathing. This simple practice interrupts the mental multitasking pattern and brings you back to single-point awareness. With regular practice, this becomes an automatic response that prevents mental scatter before it builds momentum. Another advanced technique involves what I call thought scheduling. Instead of allowing thoughts and concerns to interrupt your attention randomly throughout the day, you designate specific times for different types of thinking. For example, you might schedule 20 minutes in the morning for planning your day, 15 minutes during lunch for problem solving, and 10 minutes in the evening for reflection. Outside of these scheduled thinking times, when thoughts arise, you acknowledge them and remind yourself that you'll address them during the appropriate scheduled time. Mental noting is another powerful tool for reducing multitasking thoughts. When you notice your mind starting to split its attention, simply note what's happening without judgment. You might mentally say, planning, worrying, remembering, or analyzing to identify the type of thinking that's pulling your attention away from your current focus. This practice creates awareness of your mental patterns without fighting against them, which often makes them naturally subside. Progressive attention training involves gradually increasing the duration of single-focus activities. Start with just 1 minute of focused attention on a chosen object, sensation, or activity. When you can sustain this for several days without significant mental wandering, increase to 2 minutes, then 3, and so on. This systematic approach builds your concentration abilities in a sustainable way that doesn't create additional stress or frustration. Environmental design also plays a crucial role in reducing mental multitasking triggers. Create spaces in your home that are designated for single activities only. Have a chair that's only for reading, a space that's only for eating, or a corner that's only for relaxation. When you're in these spaces, your brain learns to associate the environment with focused attention, making it easier to maintain single-point awareness. The journey from constant mental multitasking to peaceful single-focus awareness doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, most people notice significant improvements within 2 to 3 weeks. The key is approaching this change with patience, self-compassion, and realistic expectations. Your brain has been practicing mental multitasking for years, possibly decades. So it's natural that developing new patterns will take time and repetition. Start by choosing just 1 or 2 single-focus practices to implement initially, rather than trying to change everything at once. You might begin with focused breathing for 5 minutes each morning and eating 1 meal per day without distractions. Once these practices feel natural and automatic, you can gradually add more single-focus activities to your daily routine. It's important to expect and accept setbacks along the way. There will be days when your mind feels particularly scattered, when focusing seems impossible, or when you forget to practice your single focus techniques entirely. These experiences are normal parts of the learning process, not signs of failure. When setbacks occur, simply acknowledge them without self-criticism and return to your practices the next day. Tracking your progress can be incredibly motivating and help you notice subtle improvements that might otherwise go unrecognized. Keep a simple daily log noting your anxiety levels, sleep quality, and overall sense of mental clarity. Many people are surprised to discover how quickly their baseline anxiety decreases once they begin consistently practicing single focus awareness. Remember that reducing mental multitasking doesn't mean becoming less productive or missing important information. In fact, most people find that their efficiency and effectiveness improve dramatically when they give their full attention to one task at a time. Problems get solved more quickly, decisions become clearer, and the quality of work increases significantly when mental resources aren't scattered across multiple concerns simultaneously. The ultimate goal isn't to never have multiple thoughts or concerns, but rather to have conscious control over where you direct your attention. You want to be able to choose when to focus on one thing and when it's appropriate to consider multiple factors. This conscious choice, rather than automatic mental multitasking, is what creates lasting relief from anxiety and a genuine sense of mental peace and clarity. Breaking free from the hidden habit of mental multitasking is one of the most powerful ways to reduce anxiety naturally and reclaim your inner peace. By learning to focus on one thing at a time, you're not just managing symptoms, you're actually rewiring your brain for calmness and clarity. Remember, every moment you choose single focus awareness over mental multitasking, you're building stronger neural pathways for peace and well-being. If this video helped you identify this silent anxiety trigger in your own life, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit from this information. Subscribe for more natural anxiety solutions, and remember, you have the power to train your mind for peace, one focused moment at a time.